Hey, it's Dr. Nuesse here again, and today we are going to talk about calories, and specifically when it comes to weight management, that all calories are not created equal. That's up next. Okay, so let's talk specifically about calories and the fact that they are not all created equal, and this is specifically true when it comes to weight management. So I am going to talk about the reason why a calorie that comes from ice cream is not the same as a calorie that comes from steak, and that's not the same as a calorie that comes from broccoli. And I'm doing this video finally after doing hundreds of videos here on this channel because I talk a lot about things like intermittent fasting and becoming fat adaptive and controlling insulin and low carbohydrate dieting and things like that. And these are techniques also that we use in our offices to help our patients naturally lose weight. But inevitably on some of these videos, what will happen is we'll get in the comments section, you can't violate laws of thermodynamics. A calorie is just a calorie. All you got to do is eat less and burn more. And while that's a good way of thinking, it's not 100% true. The way you ingest calories does make a difference as far as how much weight you either gain or lose. So let's talk about the 3 reasons why a calorie is not a calorie when it comes to weight management. Okay, so point number 1 is a concept called Dietary Induced Thermogenesis. And basically that's just a fancy way of saying that it takes a certain amount of energy to actually break down, digest, absorb food. So typically in a given day, we use about 10% of our energy actually digesting our food. But depending on what type of food is, that can vary. So this is going to be the first reason why calories in from different types of foods are not always equal. So let's look at an example. If we've got 100 calories and we've got 100 calories of protein, doesn't matter what the protein is, you can pick your choice. It can be steak, it can be eggs, it could be fish, whatever. We've got 100 calories of protein. 30% of those 100 calories are going to be used to break the food down, to chew it, to digest it, to absorb it. Conversely, if we've got 100 calories of carbohydrates, ice cream, a donut, whatever, we're only going to use 10% of those calories to digest the carbohydrates. So what we're left with is if we eat 100 calories of protein, we're only actually getting 70 calories. Whereas if we eat 100 calories of carbohydrates, we are getting 90 calories that we're actually absorbing. So there's a 20 calorie difference just off of this 100 calories. So this is a big reason why calories in from different sources are not always the same. All right, on to number 2. Okay, point number 2, let's talk about carbohydrates specifically, the different types of carbohydrates that you could be eating. One type of carbohydrate that you could be eating is simple or refined sugars or refined carbohydrates, and how they actually affect your blood glucose levels and specifically your insulin. So when you ingest simple sugars, again, candy, candy bars, donuts, things like that, what happens is it spikes your insulin and then you get this insulin crash. And when your insulin raises really high, insulin is a hormone, it actually tells your body to not use body fat and you start craving to eat more carbohydrates. So typically you will then want more of what you're eating, ice cream or whatever, and you will continue to eat that and you'll end up taking in more carbohydrates. It also doesn't let you get into that fat adapted state where your body actually starts to want to use body fat for fuel instead of the sugar that you're ingesting. And let's contrast that with complex carbohydrates. Complex carbohydrates come in the form of a lot of vegetables. So let's just say you're eating broccoli. Now broccoli does have carbohydrates in it, and that's not a bad thing. But complex carbohydrates also have a lot of fiber, so they absorb a lot slower. So they give you this kind of mild increase in your insulin and then it drops back off. That's a really good thing because then you don't crave more of it. If you eat a serving of broccoli, you're not going to start craving broccoli more. But if you eat one donut, there's a high likelihood that you're going to want to eat more and more donuts. So this is another big reason why different types of calories that are coming from different sources are not always created equal. On to point 3. Okay, third point, but certainly not least here, is that protein, and specifically the amino acids arginine and lysine, that's what most of the research has been tied to. They actually suppress hunger. When you eat foods and break them down that contain arginine and lysine, your hunger will actually be suppressed naturally. So let's look at the 100 calorie example again. If you eat 100 calories of, let's say, eggs, you're actually going to force yourself to become less hungry and less likely to eat more. Whereas if you eat 100 calories of, let's say, candy, that's actually going to stimulate your appetite to want more, specifically of the refined carbohydrate, the candy. Now, this is so true and so powerful that we actually manufacture a supplement that contains arginine and lysine and a couple of other really great things that help promote weight loss, and we actually give it to our patients in our clinics. I'll actually leave a link in the description box below of our online store if you want to check out that product. But this is really, really powerful as far as getting people to be able to control their appetite and then control their diet. It really helps with weight management. So that's point number 3. Okay, so I hope that was informative and helpful and helped clear up some misconceptions. All right, until next time, everybody, stay happy and stay healthy, and I will catch everyone in the next video.